Welcome to the Six-Figure Author Experiment, where we help you break through your first or next $100,000 goal. Parental discretion is advised. Now, let's get on with the show.
Hello again, everyone. Hello, Lee.
Hey.
We have a very special guest today. Hi, Steve. It's Steve Pieper. Hi, Steve Pieper.
I feel very special. It's great to be here. Thank you, guys.
I'm really excited to have you here. Like I think about your sales pages and click testing quite a bit, especially when I was losing all of the money that I did on ads. And I'm very excited to not do that again. I did not lose money with click testing. I was like, as this ad agency was like bleeding me dry, I was like, I wonder if they're doing click testing, because I feel like they should, and it would probably go better. But like, I'm now out of that contract and I'm ready to like do a series landing page that I've been talking with you about. I feel like I may have shown you this page over a year ago when you first came into our community.
Really? Wow.
I think so. So do you want to tell us a little bit about you? Because Lee and I know you well, but I don't know if our audience does.
I have to say, I'm going to admit that for the longest time, Steve, I referred to you as Lars, which is your pen name.
Yeah.
And then Ennis Johnson, who introduced me to you, was like, who? I'm like, Lars. We just call everyone by their pen name, right? I don't need anyone's given name. And so if I slip up and say Lars, that's why.
Well, I will say also that Steve communicated with Monica and I for a long time, and it was Lars until he was like, I'm Lars. I was like, oh, I feel like I had like a years long relationship with Lars before I even knew it was Steve. And I was like, he's like, I've been on your list for a while. I was like, I think I would have known. It's like, I'm on as Lars. I'm like, oh, I get it.
It's the same person.
It's the same me. It's funny. One time, so I was running my book ads and running ads for our author programs, and they both have my face, but different names. And one of my readers was like, hey, somebody's stealing your picture and using him in these ads. This scammer named Steve. I'm like, oh, thank you. I'm this one and the same. Back in the day, I had a day job and a security clearance. I thought I would keep these two worlds very, very separate. And I did not. I walked into a meeting in a classified vault one time, the director level of the company. And I walk in, I'm a little bit late. And he goes, ladies and gentlemen, we are blessed today by the presence of Mr. Lars Emmerich, thriller author. I was like, okay, I guess the cat's out of the bag now, but I have these two sort of different brands. All the marketing stuff and business stuff I do is under my name, Steve Pieper, and all the trashy thrillers I write, those are under Lars Emmerich.
Love it. So
the moral of the story is, if you're trying to keep it secret from your coworkers, make sure you don't work at a spy agency. Is that correct?
For sure. Something like that. Yeah.
So I'll let you talk a little bit about yourself at the beginning, or just so that other people can get caught up. Obviously, we've known Steve for a long time. So, Steve, want to talk a little bit about yourself, or Lars, whichever one, both?
Sure. My mind always goes to the opening scene of The Jerk. If you've ever seen that movie back in the day, Steve Martin, he's like, I was born a poor black child, but it's Steve Martin. He's an old white guy. That's always what tell us about yourself. That's what pops into my mind pathologically now and then. But I had a couple other careers before I decided to get serious about writing books. And I did all the things that all the people say when you write books, with some good results, got to the top of the categories in Amazon and stuff. I noticed that despite those sales, I was not making any actual money. I was mostly spending money to get at the top of those lists. And another thing that happened is, I guess this would have been 2017, I was cleaning out my email inbox, and I had a very stern message from Amazon saying, we've noticed some suspicious activity in your Kindle Unlimited or your Kindle Direct Publishing account, which I had not opened except to check my hourly sales numbers, but I hadn't changed anything for weeks. I had no idea what they're talking about. And they said, and furthermore, we're going to withhold royalties to show you how serious we are about this thing, which we're not going to tell you what it is. And so I took some deep breaths and I I got all the F-bombs out in the privacy of my own home, and I composed a very professional email that said, hey, basically WTF. And really, I was asking, what's going on? And could we discuss the royalty thing? Because that's important to me, as it turns out. And I hit return. I went to the kitchen and got another coffee, and I came and I sat back down and was like, oh, they've written me back already. Amazon, they're on the ball. But it was an autoresponder reply that said, we have reviewed your case and we have decided to uphold our decision and withhold your royalties. So I thought, these people maybe are not exactly on my team. Like, we're doing business together, maybe, but it doesn't feel right to trust everything to Amazon for my career. So I said, well, I've been doing digital business stuff since 2003. What if I just tried to sell directly to my customers? Like, I just sold directly to the readers, went around Amazon. I was like, Amazon, you're fired. You're dead to me. As soon as I get around to it, I'm going to pull the books off. So I started selling directly to readers. It took me, I don't know, a couple of months to get it to work right, but it did work right. And I started making money and I started increasing my ad sales. And one day I logged back into my Amazon account and I noticed I had been making a ton more money since I began advertising for my own store. So there's this really interesting thing, the spin-off effect, where advertising to sell directly to readers also really boosted my Amazon royalties. And we've seen this in 100% of cases for authors who are not already making $1 million a year plus on Amazon. When you're making $1 million plus on Amazon, if you're ever advertising at $1,000 a day or so in your direct sales store, you're not going to see that huge bump. But everybody else sees this bump on Amazon while they're also making money in direct sales. So it's like, we're onto something here. And so we've been running a direct sales program since about 2017. I think as soon as I saw it was working for me, like 15 minutes later, I realized, well, I think lots of other authors will probably want to know how to do this too. So I opened up this thing. And it kind of became a thing since then. So
well, you were like, for a long time, you were like the person behind the people. Cause like every time I would see ads, they were like, Steve, ammo. And I was like, okay, I had a list of like them, or like when I meet them in person, it's like, how are you doing direct sales? It was like you or Pierre. Those were the two answers that it would have.
Yeah. Pierre has like the nonfiction thing covered, and we're more on the fiction end.
Yeah. And yeah, we've all gotten those emails from Amazon. And what's interesting is they keep your money. They took it from the customer.
Yeah.
They don't give it back.
Right.
They just keep the royalties. And then they're like, well, we're not going to give them to you because it was fraudulent activity from, I don't know, some click farmers in Chile who unfortunately chose your book as well as whatever other book they were paid to push, is the theory, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, don't trust them. And we saw that halo effect. I'm going to say, Renee and I went to a mastermind, which the best things in my career always happen when it's like this. There's a couple authors in a room and we just talk what's working, what's not, where's your head at? And it's so invigorating. And Ennis Johnson said, okay, guys, this is it. And Renee and I run our business on intuition. Really, we're just following what feels right. That's it. We're like, oh, but we got a huge like, yes, when we heard that, and immediately opened our computers and set up our Shopify stores, which is the platform you focus on. And then spent a couple of months kicking it around because I was thinking, oh, I'll do this on the side. I'll like get it going in my spare time. And then realized it was a juggernaut and I needed to focus. And I did. We got our series to make 7 figures, and that was without any new releases. And usually we were pushing, Amazon is such a new release hungry algorithm that we would push our income with a new release.
Mm-hmm.
And we had no new releases. We were sitting on a trilogy. We were fixing it and working with the developmental editor and blah, blah, blah. And so what do? Well, we got the backlist going and we only advertised to our store. And we would turn on an ad, let's say to a German book on our store. and we'd see a bump in Germany on Amazon. So you called it the spillover effect. I was calling it the halo effect, the effect.
The actual nerdy marketing term is cross-channel effects, where you advertise in one place, but the results, they show up there, but they show up in another place also. So the mechanism is people see your ad on Meta, but then they open up Amazon and they type your name in the Amazon search, because none of your links are pointing to Amazon. But that's what some people will only ever always buy from Amazon. Some will buy from you, but it's like you're getting sort of 2 for 1 on your book ads, which is
amazing.
Cool. Yeah.
Oh, it was more than that. It was incredible, and which was nice because our Shopify ads weren't that great. We weren't getting a huge return on just Shopify, but we were finding all new readers. That was the other interesting thing is we were running traffic ads, and our mailing list we built from basically a Kindle Unlimited career. And I sent our Shopify links to our mailing list, and very few people bought. Like statistically, I can see a bump on sales, and we did not. Yeah. And I realized, oh my gosh, we need to go and get new readers for the store, but that's fine because I'll take people who buy anywhere. Sure. And the reason you're here, Steve, and I totally co-opted your talk. I'm sorry. I'll turn it back over. But I was like, this is going so well. And
your guest.
Russell, you have this direct offer, and we're talking about his launch on Amazon and all these e-retailers. And I'm like, don't run ads to them. They keep all the information, and you already have this system set up. And so much of the work is just setting it up. So what if you get a self-liquidating offer to the store? But I'm banking on some brand recognition. People see his covers on Facebook. And I feel like either way, you'll make money on the store if you do the click testing and you get this going. And I'm also thinking that he will see some of that cross effect. What was it again?
Cross-channel effects.
Cross-channel effect.
Yeah. Cross-mogination, baby.
So I was going to start running direct sale ads last year. And then I talked to Steve, and he's like, he told me about the spill channel cross halo effect. And I was like, oh, like I could double or more the money that I'm making if I just am a little bit more strategic on this. And I will say you also have this on Kickstarter, like on any channel. If you're promoting a Kickstarter, people will go to Amazon and see if it's available. And if you don't, you should at least, I used to say, do not do this. But now I've seen enough data to say like, no, you should have your book up for sale, but like on pre-order and put it out a year. You could always people always think changing a pre-order is going to ding you, but only if you push. If you pull, there's like not the same negative effects. So put it in and have it in like, because you'll get it for all of these places. Like,
I don't know anything about Kickstarter other than what I've heard other people say about it. I've never dabbled. It's its own ecosystem is what I understand. I know you guys have a lot of experience with it. What I'll say about advertising for your store is that you get to advertise to different humans, because you can use what's called a purchase ad or a sales ad. And you can't really do that when you're advertising to point your clicks at Amazon, because a purchase ad requires that Meta gets feedback on who bought and who did not buy. And that teaches the algorithm what a buyer looks like for your book, for your offer. But you get none of that on Amazon. So the thing about running purchase ads is they're more expensive. They're like 10 times as expensive as just regular traffic ads, but you get 50 times the sales when you show your ads to people who are known to buy things. When they see ads and they go buy them, that's a different kind of human than the human who sees an ad and clicks on it and that does nothing else. So it's not unusual at all that when you are just conceptually, when you're showing ads to people who are known to buy things, they're going to go buy things from you, maybe from your Shopify store, but maybe they just like the convenience of how the Amazon thing works out, or maybe they don't have time to, or they don't feel like they've got the mental bandwidth to discover a new thing because they've got this old thing that's working for them. They'll just go do what's easy for them, but you've put your books in front of them, and they are people who buy things. So that's sort of the mechanism for how, at least what I've seen, for how it works. And I've also watched my wife do this. She'll see something on Facebook and she will never click. She will not click on the face because then all the bots will like, descend upon her. So she she takes a picture of her Facebook screen and then she goes over to her Kindle and finds the thing in her Kindle and goes and buys it that way. So she's like a walking cross-channel effects example in her household.
Well, there's two things that I want to just touch on, because like there used to be a thing called, you probably remember this, attention domination. It was a Frank Kern method. Do you remember that? Like we're both been doing this a long time. So it was basically the idea that like, for a very short amount of time, you are everywhere.
Yeah.
And I tell people all the time that it's like, I find it really hard to judge the effectiveness of any single channel because of this exact cross-channel effect. Like someone may have seen an ad and bought from the ad, but they were also on my email list and also their friend talked about it. And then like, there's 7 things that I don't know. So like, all I know is like the final place that they clicked. Or like the last cookied place to click. Because you can also click and then abandon that. And then like you buy somewhere else and like then it doesn't show as. So like I feel like that's why I think in campaigns and I'm like, what am I want this whole blob of stuff to happen. And then if a blob of stuff happens and then like $100,000 comes out of that or whatever, $10,000, then that's good.
You want $100,000 blob. That's what I would like. $100,000 blob.
So like, I used to work selling car ads to dealerships. And one of them, I was talking about like, the thing was like all digital advertising. And like, this was like 10, 15 years ago. So it was like kind of the infancy of digital advertising in the way that we do it now. And I was like, you will know who buys. And someone at Mercedes I was talking to was like, I have a 30-year time horizon on how to buy. I have to get people 30 years before they buy. So actually you have no idea how to buy. I have to think about this holistic brand experience so that at the time that thing clicks, they are ready to buy. But like, and it blew me away that you could even think about, like at the time I was not much older than 30. So like that was my whole life of like thinking about this one sale.
That's right. Yeah. So what he's talking about is the difference between direct response, which is see an ad, click on the ad, buy a thing, versus a brand experience. And a brand is a whole sort of ecosystem, but it's a story that you have in your mind about a certain thing. So like in the Mercedes, and that's funny. That's about right. I think because I drive a
yeah, I was going to say, you saw it when you're 20 and you're like, ooh, or 15 or whatever. And then now
it's funny
you can
because
afford it.
With that car, I was like, I kind of like the car, but there's a lot of old people driving those things around. I don't feel very old. And then it came time to buy a car. We test drove all the ones and I sat in this one and it was a Mercedes. And I was like, oh, I get it. Now that I'm old, I understand the deal. So yeah, it's totally a brand thing. The hard part about a brand is that it takes you probably 5 years to build it, and you can build it in the wrong direction unknowingly. So, and most of us can't wait 5 years to build this big brand. Most of us start off in direct response. It does 2 things for you. Direct response is like you put an ad for a purchase and you track the purchases from that ad. So it makes a lot of sense for like a linear engineering kind of brain, like the one that I have for sure. But the cool thing about direct response is it's the school of hard knocks, because if your ads don't work, you don't know why. You just know that they don't work. So you have to figure things out. Like, what do my customers, what my readers really like? What do they really respond to? What do they really buy? And that teaches you what kinds of things you need to include in your branding efforts. When I say branding efforts, that's like organic content that you make, or it's your email list nurturing, or YouTube videos, Instagram posts, blog posts, those kinds of things. Ancillary stuff. Obviously, your books are a gigantic part of your brand. They're the center point of your brand. But direct response kind of stuff also teaches you if you're doing a good job with your books. Because if you have a terrific ad and people arrive on your book page and they're like, oh, this is disappointing, right? You're not going to sell very much. It's the old, all the lipstick in the universe won't turn a pig into a unicorn, right? So
if you are not a hardcore desert, like Steve clearly is, and he's like the definition of a desert.
I'd rather be like a forest. I feel like a forest is, is more my speed, but okay, desert, I'll be.
No, forests are like, oh, I
opposite
put
of
up an
data.
ad, and then the unicorns that live in the computer dance around and find readers, and there's a trail of sparkle dust, and we don't look at the numbers, and we're like, I just feel like this is a good ad, and that's not. We need to borrow. Yes,
you need to have a desert in your life if you're not a desert, maybe.
Well, or like I'm a tundra, and like tundra's really like colloquial data sharing, and so like I used to do all of this stuff just like at a conference or a convention. Like Monica always makes fun of me because like I'll go to, like, I was at NINC and I was doing our pitch for stuff and like for conferences. She's like, why are you doing this? You know it won't work. And I was like, but it might though. Like it might. And then I would, like 10 times I'd do the thing and I'd be talking to someone. I'd be like, that didn't work. She's like, I know. And I'm like, but this did work. This is what I learned. And so like, I think that there is a way to, and like by going to a conference for like 3 days and just literally doing 100, 200, 1,000 pitches of the thing, let me tell you, figure out what works also in that way. So like, I am now older and don't want to do 3 days of that thing. But like, if you are the kind who's like, I don't know, this feels really data-y, and like you can get a lot by saying, oh, this sentence like made this person buy my book. I should add it to a thing.
Yeah, that's it's a really great point and a really great way to look at it, because lots of folks who and I have big feelings also. My youngest daughter has big feelings too. She'll like fly off the handle. It's taken me a long time to get all that under control. But if you're a person who doesn't really like to look at numbers, but you understand concepts and you understand the concept of connection, you can look at the sort of the numbers. There's a small number of numbers that we look at to figure out how things are going. You can look at them as your connection meter that tell you how strongly are you connecting with what your readers like and what they want. And so it's nice to have, I mean, I wish you'd have a little gauge, like a speedometer. That'd be cool. It just shows up as a decimal on your ads manager, but it tells you the same thing. Like, I'm doing a really great job connecting with this particular ad, and over there, I'm definitely not connecting at all with that ad.
So that's
that idea, like this sentence, they like this idea and the words I've used to talk about it.
Yeah. What are those metrics that you use generally?
So when we're doing click testing is just a way that you use Meta Ads Manager, so Facebook and Instagram, as a test lab. So you run these advertisements, but they're not really advertisements for purchases. They're just small experiments. You run them for like 1 to 3 days or so. And we test a small piece of the ad, and we test a dozen of these different ideas for that same small piece of the ad. And so we run that for a few days for a specific number of people who get to see these ads. And they're just out in the wild scrolling through their news feed. And if they like the thing they see in this experiment that we show them, they don't know it's an experiment, they click on it. And if they don't like it, they just keep scrolling. So you can tell how resonant a thing is by the percentage of people who click on it. So we have some metrics around, what kind of numbers you want to see for how many people click on it. It's called the click-through rate, or the link click-through rate, called CTR. It's just the number of people who saw the ad over the number of people who clicked on it. So if 4 people out of every 100 clicked on the ad, your click-through rate is 4%. And that'd actually be a pretty good result. So what that does is it gives you signposts. Like, I thought this was going to be a really killer idea, and it was not. But this other thing that I almost didn't run, I almost didn't test because I felt a little weird about it, is outside of my comfort zone. 9 times out of 10, it's just because of the size of my comfort zone is too small. But when you run stuff outside of your comfort zone, you learn what your audience actually likes. And sometimes you do get it right. The longer you're in a market, the more frequently you get it right. But this is really sobering. So this is not just authors. It's like 800 businesses and authors, 75 different industries. 95% of the time, the main thing you think your customers are interested in is not the thing they're interested in. It's so weird. Because it's almost like you're too close for it. You don't know the shape of the forest because you're looking at the little pine needles in there. But when you back out and do this kind of testing, your people out there in your audience, they'll tell you what they're interested in and what they're not. So this is super helpful. It's helpful if you've got a gaggle of books that you're trying to sell, because you can construct the ads to get people excited to go buy them. It's also helpful when you're writing things, because when you're writing your books, I may have 8 ideas, 8 story hook ideas, or 8 story premises, or a dozen different things. I'll pick a favorite. Invariably, it's not the favorite that the market picks, right? So if given a choice between doing your thing, which your market doesn't want, and doing your thing, which your market does want, do the second kind of your thing is the idea, right? It's still your ideas. Nobody else came up with those 10 ideas or whatever. They're yours. But your market's like, no, we'd like you to write a book about this one. So it's another way that it's useful and helpful to get that kind of feedback. Usually takes we run through 6 different tests. It's easy to fool yourself. So how you set these tests up, that's really important. And there's some nuance to it. And it takes you about a week to 2. At the end of it, you'll have usually a gaggle of advertisements that work pretty well to bring purchasers into your world, get people excited to buy your books. Same thing. It's about the same length of process when you're testing new book ideas as well. You can also test, it's cool. You can also test chapter openings. Mm-hmm. So, you really want that first sentence to be super hooky, really sticky to keep people going. I sort of look at chapters like, I want a really good hook at the opening chapter, and I want a cliffhanger at the end of the chapter. So they just swipe the page and read the next one, you know what I mean? So it's good to test those ones, because especially for the opening sequences for your novels, if you've got 2 or 3 stories that are going to weave together, if you really nail that opening sequence for each of the stories, and they're really feeling identified with your characters and the situation, it's going to propel them a long way into your book. Of course, you got to deliver on the rest of your book, but it really takes a lot of the pain out of figuring out, I think this is really good, but is it? Does the market think it's really good? So that it can help you with those kinds of questions.
Lee, you've been nodding your head for every moment. Do you have things to say about this? I just want to say that's the most desert thing I've ever heard a human say in my whole life.
Yeah. And I thought as you were talking, he's going to talk about this will help you choose what book to write. And that is not how I choose. But testing your cover and testing your blurb is the most efficient thing you can do with your time and money, because very small tests to get a win. These are small failures that aren't going to break your business, but have massive upside. So if you read the book Anti-Fragile, you're looking, how do I pull this tiny lever where I only lose 10, maybe a couple $100 on whatever the cover cost. And the upside is double the people will buy or whatever. So click testing, the Excel spreadsheet brain is not my brain, but it is exciting to me when I think, oh man, if I get a really good blurb, I'm going to get more readers. And I can use that great tagline in a lot of places. I can use it in my newsletters for the rest of the book's life, which is forever. And in all the ads, of course, and to get better, more book bubs. And so it's one of those, you do it once and you see the rewards forever. And I do like that. So.
Yeah, it's really cool. There's all sorts of uses for it. Like I say, this is a specific adaptation from the broader business world, but I've got friends who wrote their venture capital pitch decks. They're trying to get funded for their startup. And they click tested the headlines and all the slides of their pitch deck, and they got funded within 2 weeks. Pretty amazing. Also, different guy, pretty advanced, spending a lot of money already on Facebook business stuff, saved $500,000 in customer acquisition costs in his first month after he started click testing. It was not his first rodeo. He's a professional guy. But it's sort of silly how powerful the silly little idea is. Like, what do they click on? You think of every click as a vote.
Yeah.
Like I say, you can fool yourself. Actually, sort of along that lines as well, there's a venture capital firm called Y Combinator. And one of my friends does click testing for their portfolio company. They're pretty famous.
Yeah.
VC firm, pretty successful. One of the things they do with their portfolio companies is they click test the offers so that they don't spend all this time and money and wasted energy going down the wrong track. So it's a silly little idea with huge implications. Even stuff like you can test your email headlines before you send it out to your giant list, or even if your list isn't giant, it's your whole list, right? You can test them beforehand to know what kind of open rate you can expect. The more people who open and read, like what you have to say in the email, well, the more people who are likely to click and go buy from you. So it's kind of a cheat code.
It's really interesting because like whether you are, I want to click test all of every chapter heading and like extra heading and like everything in my business, or you're more like Lee, where like you want to test the cover and the blurb and like the first chapter. So there was a thing, been doing this a long time. So like there was a thing that like people would pay to get their first chapter edited back in the early days of Amazon. And then they wouldn't pay for any of the rest of the book because they knew if you read the first chapter or the first 10% or 20% and liked it, you would then buy it. And then they don't care afterwards. Like this is a huge, so like, I say that to say like the first chapter is really important. Like important enough that even cheap people like would pay to get the first chapter edited to hook people in. So like even if you're just testing the cover, it's like a big Sky Warren thing. Like Sky Warren's the first person I remember saying like how to click test covers and give data on it. Click test the blurb, like different hooks in the blurb. And you might find 4 that work. So someone like Melanie Harlow, she will change the blurb of her book like in the like just to highlight different tropes that are in this book. It's like she's got big tundra like evergreen trope energy. And then like I like the idea of like the first like line at least, because like if you can't get that line right, no one's going to read line 2. Like the first line has to be at least, it gets you at least in the mindset. Like I know when I'm gonna and this is not fair, but like if the great first line, I'll be like, okay, like I'm in. When I'm like, when the line is like so, but it's a concept I like, I'm like, all right, like I'm willing to be surprised, but I definitely like fall deeper in love with those books that have that first line or very little amount of thing, because even back on Amazon, the 3 things you have control over is like the cover, the blurb, and the look inside. Those are the only 3 things that like before someone gets your book that you have any control over that can help marketing. So you should at least do the cheap thing that everyone used to do, which is make sure that that first chapter, the blurb, and the cover are fully optimized. Have the rest of the book also, don't like not do the rest of the book, but like it's really important to have the blurb, the cover, and the look inside.
Yeah, for sure. There's a 4th thing that we don't think we control, but we really do. We really do control it. It's the reviews that we get. And the reviews that we get, they're a function of the love and the energy and the effort that we put into the book. Like we have to deliver, but all of this assumes that you're delivering a professional quality experience. Like you're going to take a reader on a journey and they're going to love it because you put the time in and you put the effort in and you put the editing passes in and you did all the things. It's not to say that you click test every sentence. That's not it. At some point, you just go do your magic, right? You've gotten guidelines from your readers. That's sort of the sidelines for your playing field, but it's you on the field doing your author brilliant thing. But you're totally right. The first impressions are really huge, but what brings an amazing review and what gets that person to go, dude, you've got to read this book, is all the love all the way through the book. It's like at the core of your business is the quality of your product. At the core of the quality of your product is the the love and the life energy that you pour into it. And I think that's a fundamental that I think we all know. But in a conversation like this, where we're talking about what are techniques and processes and tactics I can use to sell more, that's the thing you use to sell more books, amazing books. It comes down to that. If every third reader hands it off to their friend, like, you've got, go buy this book, you got to go read it, then all of your marketing woes are taken care of, right? So at the end of the day, your product is a reflection of your brand and your author identity. Every product we put out needs to bolster that identity, just to make the experience people have with us undeniably good. And also, we need to be undeniably good at the process of bringing new readers in to try our stuff, because there are 60 million freaking books for sale. And I think that's actually a conservative number. I think it's actually more than that, but let's say it's just 60 million. And several million of those are truly amazing books, which are not selling because there's not a professional, well thought out marketing effort behind it. So it takes both. But the fast track to like out of business, asking for the day job back, is a really clever front end marketing scheme followed by a pretty mediocre reading experience. So you don't want that trap. But the cool part is you can use these marketing tools to guide you for your product creation so that you're really giving them a great experience.
Yeah. So get your whole book edited, guys, is what we're trying to say.
Yes,
Actually,
I mean, at least once, right?
Yeah. And then as you level up, we talked on the last episode, the way I realized I needed to level up or could level up, because part of this journey for me is I just want to be a better writer. And that meant hiring more help, developmental editors, etc. But I did have an ads guy look at my Goodreads average reviews, and he said, look, it's above a 4. So at this point, the writing is there. The storytelling is there. So guys, if you go and look and you don't have anything, well, write something. But if you have a Goodreads average, you can check. And sometimes a good book is poorly packaged and it's hitting the wrong market. And then you're just, if I tried to seek out the thriller readers, I would be getting terrible reviews, 1 stars. But the romance readers, it's fine. And from there on, once you have a solid book, it is about packaging. And we're talking about, let's just optimize. You have a limited amount of time. Let's just optimize the things that make will turn a reader off within a second. The cover, the blurb, the tagline, the ad. And
Absolutely.
you can spend a little extra time on this, which is part of the love. Steve, we talked about one of the philosophies of the show, even though it's all about 6-figure experiments and money, is love your books. Because when you love your books, you spend more time on them. And one of the things we're saying it's smart to spend time on is this packaging and this advertising. I do want to bring this back to Russell's launch, though, because we have, Steve, we have this launch document with all these things that he's actually going to not do. He's going to delegate, like some social media and ads to Amazon. He's hired a company to run some of them, but he has some extra time and money to play with. And I was thinking, with your limited amount of time, the optimal thing is to run ads, those purchase ads, you said, from Facebook to your direct sales offers. So can we talk a little bit about that?
Yes.
Yeah, sure.
Okay,
So we want to dive in and take a look.
You want some history of this offer? So I put this offer up about a year ago. I have run thousands of subscribers to this. I've made a bunch of money on this landing page already. And I think it's pretty well optimized. You asked me if I used MouseFlow, which I have not yet, but I have used it for other pages on this site, but not this particular page. So I have it set up. I have it for 4, 3, 2, and 1 days. So if someone searches our mailing list, there's 4 different of these that have been cloned. So they get one on day where there's 4 days, and the next day they get a whole new one that's for 3 days, and then it like slowly gets out of there. But I've never run it to ads. What I did do since I talked to Lee is I added these $30 in bonus Gods vs. Comics books, Lee. as you can
Those are cool.
see. Like it's so like this is the series, this is the first, this is the prequel. These books all are adaptations of the novels inside. I have it 50% off. And then this is, I don't know if you see anything that is broken about this, please let me know. Some information about the Gods verse, reviews, and then I have like all of these are anthologies. You can read them in really any order. So I didn't think there was any like bad part of putting them all in. And then after every 4 or so, I have this limited time offer. Do you want to buy it? And do it again. And then you can see there's plus I did the $30 in bonus comics. The one thing I didn't do was like add it up on my more expensive sales pages. I'll be like at the bottom, like you get this, which is usually $4.99, and this, which is like $27, and this. I didn't think it was necessary here because it's like a series. It's pretty easy to be like, it's 15 books. It's $5. You get it for half price. And then this is it. Again, I exchanged click testing for what I like to do, which is throw a bunch of my subscribers into it and see if they buy. And the other 2 less buying. This one, a lot of buying on this page.
Yeah, this is a cool page. I like it a lot. It's not a format that we've used, but I'd love to see the numbers on it. I geek out on stuff like conversion rate and purchase rate. The one thing I'll say is, can you scroll back up for me? Love the art. It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
I love the layout. For me, what's missing, there's some social proof. What I would say is that social proof is just reader reviews,
right?
Or, customer testimonials, because people don't trust people selling things. People don't trust people in power. People don't trust anybody in front of the public. It's a tough time to be in a business of, selling stuff because lots of people are out there lying. So the most compelling sales pitches come from other customers. So I would say that I would make 2 modifications just from having, like, I have dreams about sales pages at this point, right?
Sure.
Like I've seen so many of them. I will say that the ones that crush, they typically have 2 additional things that I think you have opportunity for here, which is intersperse as you're scrolling through large, punchy, short reader reviews.
Okay.
That talk about the experience and that talk about the ones that talk about tropes in your genre or the feeling they get reading in this genre or these particular book elements. Those are great ones. What makes the book special? Or what makes the series special?
Should I pull them from Goodreads? Would I or can I just put them as like, this person said it 5 stars? Is it better to have this like here?
What you have is great, but and people will read that. But what you can do in addition to this section, like our sales pages, we have sections that are sort of excerpted, small type kind of reviews.
Sure.
But you can pull sentences from those reviews and blow them up into like headline size and offset them visually. So like if your background of your page is white, but you've got like that, this blue section with the lady's face in there.
Sure.
In those kinds of sections, you can just put this was the best urban fantasy series or the best, time traveler series or the whatever it is that I've ever read. Those kinds of reviews, they go a long way. So that's the first thing, and not just in a single spot, but it's like, oh, I think I like this story hook, and right underneath it is a reader review saying, love this book because of X, Y, and Z.
So I can break it up like maybe like here, I don't know, like after each. I don't.
Yeah, it can be overdone like anything else, but I'd probably in like 4. If this is a long page, probably 4 or 5 different places. I would put one of your really punchy, really awesome reviews in 4 or 5 different spots. Sure. That's the first opportunity I see. The second one, and you mentioned this before, which is like, people know how much a book costs regularly and they can do the math in their head. this is true. But even though we know people are presenting things in a particular way, it still works. So in this case, it is important to tell people what the books cost regularly, what the sum would be regularly, and that you have 55 crossed out 25. But what that gets to is it's really important to make sure people understand the value before you tell them the price. And the two ways that are most powerful to communicate value, number one is price. Even my 8-year-old the other day, she's like, Dad, I like this one thing on Amazon, but I want to buy the other one. It's like a mouse for her iPad. And the reason I want to buy it is because it's a higher price and I think it's going to be better quality. She's 8. She already has made this human connection that high quality things cost more money. So you want to establish that in your reader's mind. Your price is your position. And there's a whole large category of readers who don't care whether they pay $5 for a book or 10. What they care, an ebook, what they care about is that their 5 hours or 6 hours are well spent. That's so much more important to them than the $5.
Sure.
And I'm certainly one of those readers. You guys probably are too. There's a whole swath of them. So your pricing does two things. It gets better readers, and it also demonstrates the value so that when you do give them the discount at the end, they're like, oh, this is a good deal, and I'm going to take you up on this offer before the time runs out. The second way you tell people the value before you tell them the price is through the social proof. So those reviews where people say, I love this about the book. I love that about the book. You'll like this book if. So nobody wants to be the first to try anything, right? We want to try things that are proven. We don't want to be made fools of. So when you see reader reviews and you see the regular price, things happen psychologically for you that make you more excited to buy the book than otherwise. So those are things I think they're especially important in a cold traffic kind of scenario. Cold traffic meaning these are not people who've been on your list for 3 years and who've read every word you've written and who love you and who, it doesn't matter what you put on your title or your cover, they're going to buy it basically sight unseen. Many of those people will. So it's great that they're on your list, but it doesn't represent the way things will unfold in a cold traffic kind of scenario. These are strangers,
so these are people. The people that I run through this are people that I got through like a book funnel or something. So they are new to, like, I don't give people that already bought my book. I literally they can't even get onto this. So
that's good. You're getting into colder kind of traffic, but they're still on your list. Like there's still an affinity there, recognition. Sure. There's something they know about you already. But when you're going to run ads to total strangers who do not know you from Adam, these kinds of elements will go a long way toward getting people across the finish line, because what they're doing is they're taking a risk on you.
Right.
Maybe a small financial risk, but really they're risking like their time.
Sure.
And they're risking their feelings a little bit. Like if they buy your books and they hate them, they're like, oh.
Yeah.
So how would you change from this to what I say, like what specifically? Let's get into like what am I doing differently that I have?
What I would do is next to each book that you list in the series, not necessarily in that clump of them, but certainly as you go
like
through
here.
Yeah. Regular $9.99 or regular $14, whatever they go for.
Like up here and like the headline, something like that, or
or at the bottom,
or here
underneath the description, or but underneath the book itself, regular price. Put it in big red numbers, $9.99. Put a little like the slash through it so people know that this is not what they're going to pay, but it's what the regular price is, and that number is in their head. Oh, he's pricing at the top end of the indie world. Jeff Bezos has said, thou shalt price $9.99 or lower, and he's pricing $9.99. And so this must mean that this is a quality book if it can be presented at this price. So that's important to me. And they're also adding things up in their head. They're like, oh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8. Gosh, that's like $80 or $90 worth of book. How many are in the series that you're selling? Is it 8?
11.
11. Get out.
No. That's why when you talked about Get Mouse Flow, which allows you to see a heat map, it would be worth it. Russell, this is 12 books.
Yeah,
This is gonna be-
this is
It's
the
a lot. Yeah,
prequel
I think,
novella and then 11 books that have never been on any retailers before. I've only sold these on Kickstarter.
Of all the places to spend your time,
yeah,
and you know me, I want to be dancing in the forest with the sparkly unicorns as much as possible. But this is a place
Pixie
to
dust.
spend some time with a heat map and some data,
Sure.
because man, you're going to get a lot of, this is your 6-figure author experiment. I think it can be 7, because there's so much here, and it's already
It
proven.
is.
You've already sold books. Like, that's my favorite thing about this is he's like, oh, I don't know what they'll do. Yes, you do. You've already made a living off of these, and now you're putting them elsewhere, but we can get this offer really popping.
Yeah.
And then you have so much cash to do whatever you want with, or you just, use the spillover effect to affect Amazon and get as many readers this way with a self-liquidating and potentially a 10x offer.
Yeah. Russell, I'd say with 12, that's big. It's also a big investment of time. So the way, if it were my catalog of 12 titles, the way I would present them would be in a set of the introductory, like the what I call the doorbuster offer, which is just that great offer that gets people in the door. I would test 4 to 6 of these titles in that offer.
Mm-hmm.
And the price point would be 27-ish, 25-ish dollars, right? $27.99.
Yes.
And then when they go, yes, I want it, the next place I would take them is, hey, when you get done with these 4 or 5, whatever, most people want to keep going. Would you like the other 2 or the next 2 in the series at a 20% discount? So they've said yes to the $27 offer. Now you've offered what's called an order bump.
Mm-hmm.
It's a yes or no. Hey, would you like these 2 additionals? Here's what readers say, and give them a good deal on it. You will be surprised how many people take you up on that offer. And either way, if they say yes or no, the very next place that they go is to checkout. And they do the deal. Either it's the 6 books originally, or let's say your offer was for 6. The original offer is for 6. Either they'll pay for the 6 and they'll complete their checkout, or they'll pay for the 6 plus the 2 you offered in the order bump, or the 1 you've offered in the order bump, and they'll complete the checkout. So that's a higher order value. So that one's, 2 additional titles, you can charge $14.99 for those 2 additional titles in the order bump. It's still a 25% savings.
Mm-hmm.
So they're still getting a great deal. And then they complete checkout. And then you say, congratulations, you've qualified for an additional discount on the subsequent book in the series. No pressure, but if you want it, it's yours for 25% off. That's called a post-purchase upsell. And it feels, when you hear it, you're like, oh God, it's too much. And it is too much for a small percentage of people. For a bigger percentage of people, it's really cool to get great books at a better deal.
This is wild to me, because my order bump is the rest of my catalog for like $50.
That works too. I'll tell you what, we have some authors who are, and Lee knows because she's one of them, some authors who make real money selling their books, right? And one of the ways that some of the really successful ones do it is they'll order bump a whole other series for another 27, 30, 35 bucks.
Yeah.
Hey, bought this one. Do you want the other one too? And you would be shocked how many people say yes. Because
I wouldn't be shocked, but like many people would be shocked.
Yeah.
Yes.
Many people would be shocked.
Yeah. So
it's not everybody, of course, but
it's all these
enough.
other books.
It's enough
for $50, and so it'd be like $75 for everything. But you're saying make the bumps like just the same series, like cut the series to like,
yeah,
they're in like 3 sections of like 4, so it's like 1 to 4, 5 to 8, and like 10, 11, and 12, or 10, 11, and 12 are like one, like there's kind of different segments of this universe. So like I would do like 1 to 4 and then order bump 5 to 8, and then like upsell 9, 10, and 11.
Yeah. Post-purchase upsell for those ones And there's a great app that does this super well for you. It's called One Click Upsell in your Shopify store. And what you offer for your post-purchase upsell, that depends on what they actually bought. So you offer them smart stuff based on what they actually have bought already. So you will know when they check out, or your Shopify store will know when they check out, oh, they only bought the first 4. Let's offer them 5 and 6 in the post-purchase upsell. Or they bought 8 in the order book. Let's offer them 9 and 10 in the post-purchase upsell, or 8 through 12 or 9 through 12. Like you can, the other thing is you want to split test this, because it's unlikely that the first idea was the best idea. Sometimes it is, but often it's not. So you can do that too. You can set it up so that it 50-50 tests these 2 different offers automatically for you in the upsell process. So that's what I would do with your 12 books. There's a way in which putting 12 books, no matter how amazing the quality is, together in a $25 offer, the person says, I don't know about this. That's the whole price is quality thing.
Yeah.
So I would play with the structure of your offer, but I wouldn't give 12 books away at $2 per book, effectively. My opinion. The other point to consider is that, so it costs about $12 to $20 in advertising costs to bring in a new reader, just day to day. I don't mean like Lee pays 12 and the next person pays. Like in Lee's business, you probably see fluctuations about how much it costs to give a new person in. So you have to structure your business to accommodate that. And one of the ways you do it is to sell more titles at higher prices. So I would break apart this 12 book offer. I would raise the price. I mean, I like your 25-ish ballpark, but for maybe 4 to 6 books, and if 4 is the number, I would test $19.99. I would test $24.99. I would test $27 even.
So am I putting the books at $10 when I put them on Amazon then? Is that what's happening to get this price? Because 4 books at $5 is $20. That's so like, am I putting them on Amazon for $9.99, the whole series?
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I would do. Because these are quality novels. You're at the top end of the indie world, right? You're not a slouch. This is not your first rodeo. And so that's what people have been, that's the first, like their eyes get wide when the first thing I'm talking to folks, I'm like, I think you should raise your prices. Like they're already at $5.99. I cannot go any higher. I'm like, no, you can go to $9.99. Then Jeff says you can't go any higher, but try that. In many cases, it doesn't affect the number of purchases you get. It may, but in many cases it doesn't. But it definitely improves the revenue that you generate. The other thing that does is it improves the quality of the reader that you attract. And so they just approach it differently. And it's not as much that it's the reader who's a better person. It's the reader who's in a better mindset toward your books. They're much more willing, to believe the best in your books, and they're much less quick to just find one thing they don't like and leave. Whereas down at 99 cents, even down to like $4.99, and it's totally different for romance. Like if this were your series, we'd be having a totally different pricing conversation. I would still be like, raise your prices, but now you can get all the way to $6, right? Whatever. But for you, Russell, these are like $9.99s, I think.
Yeah, and if you do that, go ahead and send out some last chance at this low price emails. And that is a great way to get a flood of cash on Amazon. And, we just talked on the last recording that I have some random box sets, full price box sets, not available on Amazon. They're at $39.99 or whatever it is, all the individual books added up. I threw them up on Publish Drive. So they're published on Kobo and anywhere I can get away with a high price at max profit.
Yeah.
And it's a couple $100 a month. And there's 2 of them. I'm like, well, I need to do more of that. So people will come in and spend $40. And
sure,
this is a great perspective. Because when I saw the price, my first instinct was, that's really low.
Cheap. Yeah.
And the covers are so beautiful. So I'm going, well, what's wrong?
Yeah. Where's the catch? This is like is it a new book every month? What is it, like those old CD deals that I used to do back in the day? What is this?
So Lee, am I going back into all of these retailers and jacking up my prices to $9.99 now?
I want to sleep on it and do some math. And we were thinking though, you were going to be at $8.99 for the later books in the series anyway, though. So,
Sure.
And prices you can always change.
Yeah.
You can always change the prices. So yeah, you have to go into all the retailers, but I mean, I would tell everyone first before you raise your prices. Hey,
Sure.
that's a great marketing event. Like, hey, everybody, the price is going up. Go buy it now.
Sure.
And vice versa too. Hey, everybody, it's on sale now, because you can always run a sale. And when you run a sale on a $9.99 book and you discount it to $2.99, that's actually a sale. Like that's a huge sale. That's a better sale than $4.99 to $0. You know?
Right.
Yeah.
All right. So I got to sleep on all of this. This is a lot of change. This is a lot of change, Steve. I didn't think you were going to have me completely change the thing.
I'm sorry. And then one more, and this one's huge.
Sure.
Yeah.
So still to this day, roughly 80% of all book sales are dead trees. And we've seen now a number of authors that are not profitable until they start offering paperbacks in their direct sales pipeline. Now, that's a whole thing. I know it's a whole thing, but people are making a lot of money selling paperbacks in 2024. And the way, there's two ways to go about it. Well, two things to consider. One is when you run your ads to cold traffic, put the right picture of your book on the ad. So if it's a paperback ad going to a paperback page, have a picture of the paperback on your link, right? Because people don't know they're processing the information, but they're processing the information. And readers like to read, but readers don't read that carefully in the ads. So there'll be a bunch of people who are really excited about your stories who get onto your sales page and they go, oh crap, it's an ebook. Where are the paperbacks? So the second thing is, no matter where they come from, if they wind up on your ebook page, have a little thing that says, hey, these are ebooks. Do you prefer paperbacks? Click here. And that'll take them to a specific paperback offer. The other nice thing about paperbacks is that paperback purchasers are much less price sensitive than ebook purchasers are, we found. So it's nothing for people to spend $70 for 5 paperbacks or whatever. And your margin, your gross margin after your expenses is still way higher on those paperbacks than it would have been on an equivalent number of ebooks.
Sure.
And then the other thing is that, so you're going to have like paperback ads that bring people to the paperback page, but you'll catch some like audiobook fans, and if you have audiobooks, do the same thing with those, or you'll catch ebook fans who will want to buy ebooks instead. So give them like an off ramp. Click here for ebooks, and it takes them to the ebook offer. And this kind of like, you get people in the right place for the experience they want, and you give them the chance to purchase in the format they want. And those two things they wind up being really important. The other thing that happens psychologically is when a person says, oh, this is ebook, I like the books, but I'm on an ebook page, and they see the button that says paperbacks, and they click, I want paperbacks. They've told themselves, I want paperbacks. So when they get on your paperback page from your ebook page, they're way more likely to purchase. They've asked you to sell them paperbacks. So there's the choice that they make to get to the right format that they want. And they're much more likely in that case to pull the trigger, get your books, become a new fan, and, and be in your world. So, because you have so many books, Russell, like I would love to see you just crush this, just knock it out of the park. I think if you offered 2 formats, I think if you split your series up, raise prices, make the prices more commensurate with the value.
Sure.
I think that really would dramatically increase your opportunity. What do you think, Lee?
I love it. I'm so excited. I love talking about raising prices. And also, BookVault will bundle your paperbacks. And I have noticed my ads to paperbacks do pretty well. It's kind of another way to get an easy win, like another $10 a day. And I've maxed out this other ad set, whatever, a couple hundred, maybe even $1,000 a day, but, I still want to advertise. And I go to paperbacks, and romance authors particularly are finding they're maximizing their sales with different covers, discrete covers, different editions, special editions. And so when you reminded us about dead trees, I'm like, yeah, we're slowly getting back to the forest. It's good.
That's right. There's not many trees in the desert, but I'm a desert guy. I need to go to the trees, right?
All right, I love it. We're gonna have to do a next episode.
Yeah, the next
episode
episode
how we do this thing.
That's us just digesting what you just talked about. So that's great.
All right, Steve. Final thing.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we've blown up my old page. We've got a new page. It's all like doing all the things.
It's a great page. I like it a lot. Just could tweak it a little bit. It would be my suggestion.
Sure. And so now do you have any, I don't want to like blow up your spot and be like, give me all of your click testing secrets. But
no, we invited you on so that Russell could get all the free
that was
advice.
the whole point of like talking about the click testing. And we've not even covered that. So like, do we have any click testing pointers for me so that I actually can make this offer profitable more quickly?
Yeah, for sure. So there's a series of 6 tests that we run. Each test lasts 1 to 2-ish days. We run it at a budget of $30 a day. We pull the ads apart and we test individual ad elements one at a time, and we test them sequentially. So what we learn from the first test, we carry forward into the second, and those 2 together are carried in the third. So the things we test are the tagline. When I say the tagline, we test 10-ish different tagline ideas for your series, for your books, or individual book, however you want to point to them. In this case, it would be the series. And then to the headline, which is that thing that brings them to your page. And both of these need to be pretty clear. What is the genre? It has to be dead obvious that it's a book and you're selling it. Like, you're not giving it away. It's a book. It's in your genre with these tropes, and there's a special offer. Those things need to go into this kind of really compact headline. Then not all reader reviews are created equal. So we test the ones that are most compelling to future readers. And the specific kind of reader review that you need to use for an advertisement is what I call a standalone reader review. So it can't say something like, "This was the best book I have ever read." It can't say that because it says nothing about what made the book special. It says nothing about what kind of book it was. And those are the things that you need the review to say, so that a person who only digests the review on the overlay of your image for your ad, they know this is a book for sale or a series for sale. It's in this genre and this reader loves it because of X. So that's the sort of the gotcha on the testimonials. For the fourth test, so far we have the tagline and we have the headline, and we test a bunch of different ideas for each of them. We carry the best ones forward. We have minimum criteria, so the best ones have to be good enough still. If they're not good enough, we just repeat the test with incorporating what we've learned in the prior tests. We got tagline, headline, reader testimonials. The fourth one is a really big one. It's the image. And so the image, we have 3 elements that need to be in there. First is the background image. So it's the predominant visual experience they have. There's a few different categories of those that you can run, but they typically relate to the environment or the atmosphere or the vibe or the feeling of your stories, like your world. World information is great in backgrounds. You can also have a depiction of your protagonist. You can have a depiction of your antagonist. You can have a depiction of your ideal reader. Well, this is dicier because ideal reader, most people discover that they're actually selling to older women. I thought I was writing trashy spy thrillers for 35-year-old dudes, and I was not writing at all for 35-year-old dudes. It's more like, 65 plus. So the avatar, like your reader avatar, is tricky. If you're in romance or women's fiction, then it's a much easier proposition to have a picture of your ideal customer in there. But that's the background image. The second element is you need a picture of your book or books or series. And the picture that you put on the ad image, that needs to be of the format that you're offering on the particular page that you're sending them to. So if you're sending them to an ebook page, you need to have pictures of your ebook covers. that needs to stand out from the background. So if there's a lot of detail in the background and a lot of detail in the foreground, your eye doesn't know what to do. It's like, I'm lost, I'm going to keep scrolling. So the books need to pop from the background. So for the image, we have background image, book covers, and the third thing is a text overlay. And that's in big letters, and the words just can't help but go into the brain and be digested. They're presented in that way. And that is the fair game for this overlay is any winning element you discovered in your tagline test, your headline test, or your testimonial test. So and these are really big elements. The image is so powerful and so important. We process pictures 60,000 times faster than we process words. Yeah. Because we have to decode them and do like homework, and your brain's like, I don't feel like it. So the image is super important. And then the next test is the expanded text area. And so we'll test the description. And then we do have like the tour de force of testimonials. It's just like heavy hitter testimonial after another, like 8 of them all in a row. And so we'll take this almost complete ad that we built in the first 4 tests, then we'll add this text to them. And we'll test one version where we have the description on top. So they read through the description first, then keep rolling down and read through the testimonials. And another version where we invert those. So it'll be testimonials on top, like readers say, boom, 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 boom. And then beneath that, you'll have the description. So when you do this stuff, you wind up with a pretty solid ad. Now, there's ways to fool yourself. There's nuance to it. So I walk you through that in click testing. There's ways to get beautiful looking numerical results on your click tests that do not ever sell a single book. So you have to pay attention to the rules for how to create these things. It's super important. But once you do, it goes really well. And then our 6th test, we do a stress test just to make sure no false positives have snuck through. And so we just want to make sure that ad's doing really super well. So when you have all those things put together, you have an ad that people really respond well to. And you also have an ad that makes it 100% clear that you are selling something. It's a book, it's in your genre, and people like it and you should check it out now because there's a limited time special offer. So people need a reason to get from their news feed over to your sales page. So that's sort of the broad brush overview. Again, the aim with all of this is there's 100 true and accurate ways to describe any series. But what you really want to know is which of those true and accurate ways are most compelling to bring in new readers who are excited to buy and read your books. So that's what you'll learn through click testing, if that makes sense.
Well, I know this is right because I hate it so much. All the things you say makes me want to like cringe. But this is my year of embracing my inner desert, and like I'm on board. We're gonna do all of those things that you said. I'm gonna do multiple testing. I'm gonna not go with my gut, but go with my head. I'm going to, what is the thing that I've been saying this year? Oh, I'm gonna let money come instead of like fighting against money with everything. Yeah. And like that's what I really respect about your work. That's what I respect about deserts in general, where it's like, you can do it this other way. Like you can fight all of the headwinds. I don't care, but like, wouldn't it be great if just there weren't headwinds?
Yeah. And the lesson that I learn over and over and over and over and over again, like I've been doing this for a really long time, and I still relearn this lesson when I go intuitively. The assumption that you're making in the background, and I'm often not aware that I'm making it, is that the people in my market are exactly like me.
Right.
But they're not. There's a saying, which is, you are not your market. Like you are way too close to it. You have too good a taste. You're right. Like you know the good from the bad, from the ugly, that the person who hasn't spent a decade or more deeply immersed in this world does not have the sensitivity for. So if anything else, I think of it as, I just need to know where they're at. I have to go meet them where they're at, rather than expecting them to come meet me where I want them to be. I learned this over and over again. You'd think I would use it as a starting point, but I always have to be reminded.
I love it. Lee, do you have any final words before we get out of here?
Meet the reader in the forest with the dancing unicorns. That's what I heard.
Very
I
does.
love it. I love it. Thanks so much, Steve, for stopping by.
Thanks for listening. For more, head on over to sixfigureauthorexperiment.com for archive access, resources, and more. We'll see you next time.